TUFF SHIFT. Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of TUFF SHIFT, the podcast where we unpack all that goes into surviving the job and living the dream. I am your host, Patrick Murtagh, and I'm just reminded, do you remember like episode 7, 8, 9, when I tried to like come up with a name for the listeners? Like, it's like, hey, shifties, and tried to make that a thing. And it just never felt right, but I went ahead. So I'm not sure if that will ever be a thing, or if y'all have a thing you want to be known as. So let me know. And also, I had such a great time answering our first listener question last week. As you can tell, I got really into it, and I'm not short of opinions. And part of that is that's just who I am. The other part is that I am 105 years old, and I just happen to have been doing this job for 105 years as well. So I am quite literally mother time. I am the den mother to my coworkers. I am the resident adult on duty. And part of my obligation, my job, my joy as being the resident adult on duty is taking care of my babies, taking care of my kiddos at work. And when they have questions, when they need advice, when they want my opinions on something based on my lived experience, I'm more than happy to share with them. And when they don't ask for my opinions and don't want my advice and don't care about my lived experience, I am more than happy, even happier to share my opinions with you, because you may not know you want my opinion, but you need it. And this all goes into an interaction I had with a coworker recently, and I gave him my honest opinion. But with the kids nowadays, it's not enough to just say no, to just answer the question. It's a bit like math class, right? You can't just give us the answer. I need to see your work. They need to see my work. How did I arrive to that answer? Which then leads to a little bit of story time with Grandma Murtagh here. And this is something that I executed a lot in my time as an actual nanny, dealing with actual kids, specifically my demon child. And she would just get so annoyed at me every time I spoke. And it was like, hey, buddy, I don't need you to understand all the concepts I'm dropping here, because they're big concepts. What I need to do is to plant the seed. I need to know that you heard me. So that way, someday, when I am just a distant memory for you, you will find yourself in situations that you just somehow know to navigate. And I don't need the credit. I just need to know that you're okay. Now, this is not something that I came up with myself. This is something that's passed down from generation to generation, as far as raising children, as far as helping people and sharing your lived experience goes. And specifically with my abuelo, my grandfather. Oh, that man had stories. He had stories for everything. He never just told us no. He never just said, don't do that. He never just reprimanded us. There was always a story. My friend, let me tell you something. When I was a kid in Mexico, or, my friend, let me tell you, that's not good. When I had a bar, my friend, on and on. It was like, oh, great. Grandpa's telling another story. We didn't get it. That's our job as kids, is to not get it, to think that he's just talking and we'll just wait for our punishment later. Until we grew up and started having certain experiences and finding ourselves in situations that, maybe that old man knew what he was talking about. I know how to deal with this because my abuelo told me about this, and it didn't make sense then, but it makes sense now. And I implement this in my daily life at work. And this one coworker, who he came up and he had a shift. He was for him, he was working hard. For him, he was doing it. And I'm going to just say it that way because if you know, you know. Um, but he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, you think they'll let me have a shift drink here?" I don't think, yeah, yeah. You could definitely, at this place, they would definitely give you a shift drink. But I don't think you want one here. I don't think you want to have a drink here. Because look at all that goes on here. Look at all the drinking that goes on here. The people ordering shots for their tables and then telling the bartender, "Oh, it looks like you missed two. I'm too short." Okay, okay. People ordering, accidentally reordering a glass of wine, like, "Oh no, I didn't mean this. You know what? I'll find a table that could use it." Okay. Okay. And then there's, the bar manager who's not a manager but has a manager code, but then is also in the tipple and then allegedly is always drinking on the job. That stuff goes on here, and you can definitely be a part of that if you want. But do you want to be a part of it, right? There are certain people you don't want to be in debt with. There are certain people you don't want to be in bed with. There are certain people you do not need favors from. Because right now, it's cool. And it will continue to be cool until it is no longer cool. And they need to use that against you. So you can get away with it now. But you got stuff to do. You got a job to keep. You got bills to pay. You have a dream to supplement. You're here because of what you want to accomplish outside of here. So do you really want to get a free drink? Do you want to sneak a free drink? Do you want to be involved with these people that when the day comes that it's no longer cool and they need to use that against you, trust and believe they will use it against you. Now, I live my life very, very Scorpio. I will never give someone the ammunition they need to use against me. So, you want a drink? Baby, go down the street. Because it'll be cheaper to buy a drink now than to be looking for a job later. All right? You want to, this is why when people say, "Oh, where do you like to go to get a drink?" Ralph's. I go to Ralph's because I'm an amazing bartender. I got a full bar at home. I have a beautiful little blonde thing that's waiting for me to get home. I have a beautiful little puppy I don't need to jeopardize my home life because I'm here sipping away on company hooch. It's not good. So the answer is no. And that seemed to be enough for him to leave that shift without getting caught up in that group. And I do just want to drive home that this does happen. There is a reckoning day for everything. And I used to be of the mindset like, hey, you know what? I'm not your boss. Do what you need to do. Just don't bring me down. If you can do it and get away with it and continue the shift, that's your life. That's not mine. But I've seen it enough times to where people maybe can start off getting away with it until they can't. And it becomes messy and it affects me. And I actually had an experience right before I left New York. I was bartending at a wedding at the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens for that wonderful group, which is actually a wonderful hospitality group that I worked for. And it was that time of the night where the barback would hop behind the bar and each bartender would get a little 10-minute break, get some fresh air, go get some of the food in the back, the pot roast. Oh my God, the pot roast. The brisket. Every Saturday, the brisket. Oh, delicious. Just hop off for 10 minutes, get a breather, get some space, and this barback came behind the bar, relieved the first bartender, and then poured himself a hefty pour of whiskey, which is an interesting flex because this catering company has their shit together. This cater company, what they don't lack is structure. They got their shit together. There is like 12 captains on the floor. They are on the lookout. They have checks and balances. Because they want to keep people coming back, they they steer a ship. They steer what is the saying I'm looking for? Who knows? They drive a tight ship. Whatever the fuck. Anyways, you know what I'm trying to say. And also the bar is pretty much on the dance floor, so there's nowhere to hide. But it's like, that's your life. You want to have a sip of whiskey on the floor? By all means, have a sip of whiskey. I'm looking forward. I'm looking at, oh, huh, you're enjoying your drink? Great, come on up. I'm looking at this is not my life. I don't need to get involved in it because trust me, they will catch him. I'm not a snitch. I don't tell on people because people always tell on themselves. You don't need to be a snitch. So it was no surprise when 2 weeks later, I got a phone call from the HR of this company. Hi, Sean Patrick, how are you? This is with hospitality. Like, hello, I'm doing fine. How are you? And she continues, I'm just calling because I knew good and goddamn well why she was calling, but I let her speak. She goes, we heard that there was some potential drinking going on at this event, at the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens. And I said, oh, I'm very sorry to hear that. I'm very, very disappointed. And she says, did you happen to see anything? I will not get involved with this. And I said, no. And again, I'm sorry. That's very disappointing. I didn't see anything. And I'm actually quite surprised because I know what a tight ship you guys run. Tight ship. That's what I was looking for. And she goes, oh, okay. Because had I said, yes, I saw anything, had I tattled, had I gone down that road, it just wouldn't involve me. It would have involved me even more into this situation that I wanted nothing to be with. So no, I didn't see anything. I was looking at my guest. I was amazed at the DJ. I was watching the bride trip. All these things seemed to be enough for her. And then she goes, and did you happen to have anything to drink that night? And I just said, no. And let me tell you something. I don't drink on the job. I am too old to be playing children's games. I cannot afford to lose this job because I have things to do outside of this job. I have bills to pay. I do not play children's games. And then before my brain could stop my tongue, I said, and I just want to let you know that I don't ever want to have this type of a phone call again. What the fuck? Why do I channel my abuelita when I need to just channel my abuelo and just answer the questions at hand? But I never had that phone call again. I don't know what happened after that. But all that to say, it does catch up. You will get caught. It's your life. You get to decide what, if the risk versus reward, all of that. But just, if I leave you with anything today, do not give people the ammunition they need to use against you. All right? Well, that's been my time as Mother Hen, Mother Time, and the resident adult on duty. I have another adult on duty here with me today, and he is just the sweetest little Georgia peach that found his way to the Big Apple to fulfill his dream of being a working actor, singer, and dancer in New York City. And you know what? He did it. He did all of that. He lived out his dream. He was on the national tour of Beauty and the Beast. He did plenty. He has done plenty of regional theater. He has appeared on cabaret stages and lineups on 54 Below, at the Green Room, at the Triad, all sorts of places. He has been at the theater at St. Mark's. He has been on all kinds of stages around New York City, hustling and bustling to make the dream happen. And when the dream happened, he didn't stop there. He continued to grow, continued to find his voice as an artist, and eventually a creator. And expanding upon that dream led him to become a playwright, a screenwriter, sorry, a director, a filmmaker, a film critic, and even a script doctor, which, what the hell is that? We'll find out. Recently, his film, Edgewise, won Best Comedy at the Oregon Short Film Festival. And his next project, The Beard, a queer short film, is crowdsourcing funding, and you can be a part of making that film a reality. So please welcome to the stage my friend and soon to be yours. Don't hit stop. I almost hit stop as opposed to letting him in. Please welcome the one and only, the multi-talented Nate Raven.
Hello, hello.
Hello there. It has been a minute, except if
A
you count
minute.
before the recording. But other than that, it has surely been a minute. And I am so happy to have you on the show because I know from knowing you, you have nothing but experience in this field. And I know, part of this show is bringing humanity to the person behind the apron, and really expressing how much the walls of the hospitality industry are held up by the most talented people you have no idea are that fucking talented. And you are no exception to the rule. So, Nate, we're going to hit the ground running. Please share
Let's
with
do
our
it.
listeners, what was your gateway job into this beautiful industry?
My first thought was my first job in New York, but it went actually before that. When I grew up in Valdosta, Georgia, a little town, South Georgia, right next to the Florida line, and I was in college, and I had to support myself through it, and I got a job at this place called Buffalo's Cafe, which was like a wing place. You know those places back in the day that used to do the 25-cent wings, and people would order like 200 of them. Yeah, and I was the line cook. That's how I started. So I'm got
Oh,
like baskets full of wings that are like frying. But luckily, we only had mild, medium, and hot, so we didn't have to do like, sweet Thai chili or honey barbecue or any of the stuff.
chili lime, all those Dijon.
Exactly.
Yeah, amazing. A lot of listeners, you know, that I have an affinity for nachos, but what
Mm.
people don't understand is that I mean, because it's all I talk about is nachos, but I'm not going to turn down a plate of wings. Like, wings are like, if I were in an open relationship with nachos, wings would be my side piece. Because, I actually did a show in Buffalo and went to the Anchor Bar, which is like the home of the Buffalo Wing. And in a week's time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to have 100 wings in this week.
Ooh.
And I and this is we're working on a show because it was like every night it was just we went out because it was like $3 gin and tonics and like $6 for a basket of 10 wings. And I'm like, oh, I can make this happen. And I did. I had over 100 wings in that week. I also had so much salt in my body and was retaining so much water. But it was something that the entire cast and the creative team were like so happy, and that even one of the writers of this musical bought me a T-shirt to commemorate it, and then was like, "How did you hear about this wing challenge?" And I was like, "Uh, I have an eating disorder. I am obsessed with food. I made the challenge, and I literally got a free T-shirt out of it. So I love that that was your first place. And did you OD on wings at times?
No, so funny enough, I actually don't like to eat things off the bone.
Oh,
I'm one of those people where so there's something about it that just like, so I'm a boneless guy.
boneless wings. Okay,
I'm a boneless guy.
I'm not gonna judge you while we're recording. That I'll save that for afterwards. um,
No, but that job was, I don't know, I guess within the first year, I was a line cook, I served, and I was a manager. So I did
oh,
every job ever. My first job, my first restaurant job. Like I did
that's
all the roles.
that's which I'm sure made it easy to step into anything and everything in New York City.
Oh yeah. So yeah, my first job in New York City was I don't think it's there anymore. It's called Bluefin.
Oh
It was in
yeah,
Times Square. It was like a sushi sort of American fusion kind of place.
very
Oh,
corporate. Very,
oh,
very
very
corporate. When I worked at Cook Shop, a lot of people, and again, I'm saying Cook Shop because I'm saying something nice about them. If I'm not saying something nice about them, I have my ways around it because as much as there was good and bad, I want to acknowledge that I do love my time at Cook Shop. I learned a lot from
right.
them, but then there are also other things, and I don't need to shit on them publicly. Um, I can shit on them in disguise. But a lot of people came from Bluefin, and though there's things around corporate, like I actually grew a lot having that structure, but it can also be a bit limiting.
Yeah, it was at times it was tedious, but I will say that I did learn a lot. You
Yeah,
know, we had weekly wine classes where we would learn about wine, so I became sort of this like beginning sommelier. So I got all this knowledge. That was the cool part,
yeah.
was learning about food and wine and things that from, Podunk, South Georgia, I wouldn't know any of that stuff. So for me, it was really exciting.
I mean, you
Um,
mean vegetables don't come in a can?
Exactly. Yeah, I was like fish sticks, from
Yeah.
the oven
Love it. Which,
to
hey,
sushi. That was,
hey, that works too. That works too. So I don't think I knew about Bluefin. I know you've done a lot of
hmm
places, but
hmm
whether it's Bluefin or anywhere else, what is a tough shift that just lives on in your soul and haunts you almost like a math quiz nightmare? Like, I haven't been here all semester. I'm back in high school. What is a shift that just sticks out in memory for you?
it's funny because that was pretty easy. It's pretty easy to come to mind because I say it all the time to
Yeah.
people. And again, I can say the name of the place. It's not there anymore. It was called Tipsy Parson. It was in Chelsea. It was mostly a brunch place. That was their big thing. It was like country cooking elevated. And I worked every Saturday and Sunday, and it was just slam, slam, slam for 8 hours. This girl came in with another girl, her friend, I guess, and I kept going over, like, are you ready to order? Are you ready to, like tables behind me, just like so busy. And she was like, just a few minutes. It took like 10, 15 minutes for them to order. And she literally was holding the menu, and I was like waiting, waiting, waiting. And she goes, I'll just have an egg white omelet with tomato, spinach, and feta. And it took everything to not blow up at her. And through gritted teeth, I said, we don't have omelets. She was like, well, what do you have? She stared at the menu for 15 minutes. That's what I did though. I literally took the menu and said, everything we have is on this menu right here. You can order something from that. I'll be back. I was so, I was like, I am so busy. Like, I've got all these
Yeah.
tables behind me. And I don't know what was going through her head. She was just
Not
so
much.
oblivious. And clearly. So and it just sort of blew my mind after I thought about it. I was like, who does that? Go to like a restaurant, look at a menu, but not read it, not understand where you are.
I mean, 80% of people that go to restaurants, like when I approach people and it's like, what do you have? And it's like, are you are you fucking kidding me? Like, what's it,
Right.
what's in front of you? And it's like, this is what we talked about last week, is occupying your waiter's time is not just an insult to me, which I'm on the clock, so insult me, slap me, whatever. I'm on the clock, I'm getting paid. It's annoying, but I'm getting paid. Same thing I said when I nannied. Like, I'm on the clock. Like when parents would be apologetic about their children being monsters. I'm like, I'm on the clock. I'm getting paid to like sit here and watch this child have a
True.
meltdown. So like I'm getting paid to watch you. It's still annoying. But what you're doing is you're occupying my time from somebody else that needs it because somebody else is here to have an experience. Somebody else, and it's just like, don't waste my time. If you're not ready, let me go. Because there's nothing worse than
And
it's like, we're ready, and then it's like, it's the worst.
right. And you understand, brunch in particular is so hard because everyone wants their coffee a certain way, their bacon a certain way, their eggs a certain way, their toast every little thing is so specific to that person. And so you have to, it's very intricate, and you're spending time with that order
Yeah,
before you're putting it in and making sure that it's coming out correctly. And it's so complicated. So that yeah, that just sort of blew my mind that this girl was just so completely clueless.
And nothing upsets people more than not having omelets, which I never knew. Like people had such strong emotional attachments because like Cook Shop for the longest time didn't. We had a frittata, but we didn't have omelets, and people would just like lose their mind. It's like, oh well, you clearly don't understand. Like we're doing 700 covers today. Like an omelet station
Right.
where it's like pick three toppings and pick like that. Go to the Westway Diner, which love the Westway Diner. Unless are we boycotting
Sure.
them? I can't remember. Um, there's so much going on in Hell's
No,
Kitchen. Um,
no, no.
but it's amazing people's emotional attachments and reactions because it's like brunch is a different beast, and I feel I have to
Mhm.
be a different server, a different bartender, because people are different people.
Yes, yes.
It's like they're messy, they're needy, they're hungover, they're what's the word children use?
Hungover.
Yeah, hung
Yeah.
it's worse. Well, I mean, it's at in Chelsea especially, it's like it's dead until 1 o'clock, and then from
Hmm.
1 to 4, it is just like, get me out of here. Like
Yep.
absolutely wretched. And I was assuming you would bring up the Tipsy Parson because I would pass you quite regularly because Tipsy Parson
Oh,
and
yes.
the cook shop
Hmm.
are neighbors. Um, and I remember you had an issue with like a micromanager because you got a shift covered by somebody. This is weird. I remember more things about people than I remember about myself. You had like the
So
hostess,
funny.
you had the hostess cover your shift who would take shifts. Do you remember that?
There was something, yes, where I had someone cover, but then they backtracked on their word or something like that, and then I got in trouble for it, but I did the proper steps, or I can't remember the exact details, but that's familiar.
Yeah, I just remember that
I
being like one of the stressors for you because, and again, this is why I'm proof why you need a Scorpio in your life because I will hold a grudge for you.
I appreciate that.
All my friends and family, like there are people that I see on social media that I know something about, and I just be like, I flip off my phone. I'm like, I know what you did to so and so.
That's so funny.
But yeah, but with that being said, you had mentioned in your questionnaire that micromanaging was probably one of the worst things
Oh,
you dealt with
yeah.
in the restaurant. So can you kind of explain that for listeners and also like how it
Yeah.
personally affected you?
It's there was again, I don't think it's there. It was called Blue Water Grill. It was a sister restaurant to Bluefin, and it was in Union Square. And I was there during the summer, working. And summer in New York is always
Yeah.
difficult. It can be difficult. It was a lunch rush. I had 5, 6 tables. I was like standing off to the side, watching everyone was eating, happy, waters were full, and I literally was just standing there and just eyeing everyone, just keeping an eye on everyone. And the manager comes up to me and was like, "You should go check on your tables." I said, "Oh, I just did." He was like, "No, you need to go check. That one has water." I was like, "No, they're fine. I literally just went over there." He was like, "No, you should go check your tables." And I turned around and said, "I know what I'm doing. My tables are fine." And and then of course at the end of the shift, he was like, "You can't talk to me that way. I'm your manager." And I said, "Look, I've been doing this for a really long time. I literally had just completed a lap of my tables and was standing there watching my tables. They were fine. So you telling me that didn't serve anything."
No, what you should have done was ask me, "Hey, how are your tables? I noticed this one." And I'm like, I just was over at that table
Exactly.
and they said, "Please stop refilling my water," because sometimes that happens. And which is bizarre because most times people are begging for waiters to fill their water. But it's like, ask me if you see something's missing from my table, don't just say go put because I might have a why that could be useful to you
Exactly.
and maintaining our work relationship, right? And that type of shit just really bothers me when people micromanage and it's like, you don't have the experience I have, and you're not creating an environment to where we're actually being hospitable and meeting our guests' needs because you're coming after me, and I'm going to take that to the table.
And
I try not to. I can't not take that to the table with me.
right. And it's my money. Like it's my money that I'm making. So I'm going to do what I need to do to make my money.
Yeah,
And at that point, I've been doing it for years. Like I know what I'm doing. Like
yeah.
I was a good waiter. I was a good bartender. Like I enjoyed doing it. was great at multitasking and I loved talking to people. So that it all became very easy to me.
Yeah.
And I think when people saw me not doing anything, they thought that I was slacking off.
And here's the thing, to where I am no longer apologetic to this, because especially where I work, and it's like the sections are spread out over, it's such a huge place, and you have a little bit in every area, which makes no fucking sense. But like there are times I'm like, I literally walked the New York City Marathon this shift. So like if I need a minute, if I have time to lean, I'm not gonna fucking clean because I've been doing nothing, but I need time to
Yes.
lean so that I can recharge it. Give me a minute. Give me a goddamn minute, which is just like, and the other thing is like, if you're so observant, why are you coming over to me? Like, if you see that table, I had a manager at Cook Shop, which I don't mind bringing up because he did not last long and I knew he wouldn't. I think his name was John. If you're listening, John, how to duty. But it was a brunch shift. And it's like, again, I'm working my ass off. My arms are covered in plates and this, I'm running. And he's like, yeah, it looks like table 56 needs some more iced tea. And I'm literally like, carrying my weight and food on my arms. I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, and I said, are you doing something right now? And he goes, no, I'm available. I'm like, do you want to refill the iced tea for table 56? And he goes, yeah, I think we can do that. I'm like, this motherfucker. And again, I don't tell on people because people tell on themselves. And when they're inadequate and not up to it, they tell on themselves. So he took
Yep.
care of himself that sometimes the trash takes itself out. But uh, again, I've brought this up multiple times. Not every shift can be a tough shift. What are
No.
a few things, maybe three things, that you really feel you got from working in restaurants, whether it be knowledge or what it
Hmm.
afforded you to be able to do while you were in New York?
Before I answer, can I tell a funny tea story?
Oh,
A
yes,
quick one.
please. Please.
This was when I was working at Bluefin. Lunch rush. Guy came in. All the business guys, like to take themselves out to lunch or whatever. He came in. I went over. I said, "Hi, my name is Nate. How can I help you? Can I get you something to drink?" And he goes, "Arnold Palmer." I said, "Oh, great. My name is Nate. Can I get you something to drink?" He said, "Arnold Palmer." Yeah, my name is Nate. Hi. Can I get you something to drink? And he looked up. It's half iced tea, half lemonade. And I was like, "Oh, Arnold Palmer's the drink." Oh, like I was like, "Oh my God." I had no idea. I had no idea what it was. I thought he was telling me his name.
Oh, I thought you were like educating.
No, I thought he was telling me his name was Arnold Palmer.
I thought you were being a bitch because literally, rightfully so. Because like literally, that's the thing going around Instagram right now. Is like where customers do that and they have a spray bottle, and it's like until you say hi, nice to meet you. That's fucking hilarious. It would have been better if it actually was Arnold Palmer, legendary golfer.
Right?
That would have been fucking hilarious. Oh Nate, oh Nate,
Yeah,
that's a jewel. That I thank you for
right.
that. That I
You're
will.
welcome.
You should write a short about that. You should really.
I've actually done a sketch about it. But, yeah, it's Anyway, I love that story so much because I was the idiot there.
Yeah,
Um, but no, but
self-deprecation is good sometimes,
yeah,
right? You gotta laugh at yourself.
right. Gotta laugh at yourself. But I guess what I took away from working in restaurants, I mean, memorization skills. Let me say that I did a brunch shift, 8 people, and the guy was like, "Are you going to write any of this down?" I went, "No, I got it,"
I don't know how to
because
write.
I had just, yeah, it just writing it slowed me down.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
would work on my memorization skills when I learned lines for something, and it just helped keep that part of the brain fresh
mutually
and just,
beneficial. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So that was a good like takeaway, a skill takeaway. Um, you also see the best of humanity and the worst of humanity
Hmm.
working in restaurants. And it was always uh, interesting to me of how I dealt with it, how I dealt with these people. Because the best people, they're great. They're easy to talk to. We can strike up conversations and talk about anything. The worst people, it was like, okay, how do I make this person have a good experience? Because they're home, right? Like
Yeah.
they're here for the experience. Like, how do I manage this so that I'm okay and they're okay? And so it really was a test of how to deal with people. And then that
Yeah.
went off into in showbiz as well. Like there's all types of people you deal with. So
And all
how am I
types
going
of
to deal with
audition
them?
rooms, all types of audition rooms where it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
I can either win the room, which is sometimes a tactic, or sometimes it's like, you know what, you're not feeling it, and maybe you are, and I'm just misreading the situation. So then you develop that Teflon to be like, I need to sing this
right,
G, I need to get this emotional thing, and I can't risk my audition because you're, you know, doing whatever you're doing that is not about me. And so you develop that Teflon both in the audition room and on the floor.
right. And it's just, I think a lot of us, we take things personally sometimes. We think it's about us. We think that, oh, we're doing something wrong, or we're not, or we get nervous so that the anxious, all that comes into play too. And it took me a while, strangely, to like realize, no, 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 this is not about me.
Yeah,
Like what is about me is what I'm doing and how I'm reacting to it. So that's what I need to focus on, not what
exactly.
they're doing. So um so yeah, I think those were like the biggest things that
Those are
I sort
great
of took away
takeaways.
from it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just checking in. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. And if you are, why not leave us a 5-star review and a comment or two wherever you're listening to this from? And don't forget to follow us on social media at TUFF SHIFT Podcast. That's TUFF Shift Podcast. Everywhere, literally everywhere. And just a reminder, gratuity's not included, but tips are always welcome. And you can find our virtual tip jar at tuffshiftpodcast.com. That's TUFF shiftpodcast.com. All right, back to the show. And now, what was the last straw? What was the last job? And what was the thing that you're like, yeah, I'm done? And how did you get out?
So so I worked on Here Lies Love off Broadway.
Saw you there.
Yes, yes, I was one of the Wranglers, which with this weird mix of cast and crew. So we were like part of the experience, but also had to like move the audience around the stage. It was so fun. Did that for a year. And then after it was done, the I forget what the name of it is, but the public had that restaurant upstairs,
The library?
the library, maybe the library, yeah. And I was like, I need a job, and they were like, yeah, sure, we'll hire you. You've got experience. I trained for a day, and then the next time I came into training, I don't know what it was, Sean. I was walking along the street, and suddenly I got this like pit, dark feeling in my stomach,
Mm.
and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore. And I called them and said, I'm sorry, I'm out. And I left the restaurant biz after that. And I just decided for myself that I needed to put my energy towards creating and being an artist, and money, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That was my thought process. I'll figure it out. And then I got 4 jobs after that, but not in the biz, but that's what I had to do,
Yeah.
so that I wasn't going back to, because it became sort of a pattern for me where I was just always going back to a restaurant, always going back to the same thing. And I felt like I was sort of in a rut, and
Yeah.
I wasn't really going anywhere, and I had to change something. And that to me was an easy change.
It's very working in restaurants, they call it the golden handcuffs, but it's also very
Mm.
sex with the X, to where it's like, it seems like a good idea, but then you remember why you broke up. It seems like a good idea, and then you
Mhm.
remember what you can't stand. So it's very sex with the X. And when we met, we both had made one of our exits out. Were doing like personal assistant work, and
Yes,
I had
yes.
transitioned into working into a gallery, which was crazier than
Right.
restaurants,
Right.
crazier than the audition circuit. And I had to then jump back out of there and back into cook shop. And I was like, I'm done with restaurants. And it's like, just kidding. I'll see you on Monday. And it's this revolving door that
Oh
you
yeah.
just need to like what you did, and I know I need to do, is you just took the step out, which is,
Well, I
I
mean,
commend you.
thank you. I mean, during the pandemic, I applied for restaurants because I
Yeah,
was like, I need money.
yeah.
Like I need money. Like I don't care at this point. Um, I mean, luckily I found other things, but yeah, it just for me, it's what I needed to
Yeah,
grow
yeah.
as a person and an artist, and because I did it for so long, and it just
E-
wasn't serving me anymore.
Every time
Pun
I come
intended.
back from a break, literally, every time I come back from a break from working in the industry, I'm always like, oh yeah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. And then it's just one of those things where as you go on, it chips away, and people's
Yeah.
rude behavior, you're not able to brush off. Like I literally just, I mean, nannying is what has kept me in hospitality, because I literally
Mm.
learned that, oh, everyone's a lifelong toddler. So I just need to approach them as a toddler. And when I need to be silent and stern, I'm silent and stern. And when I need to break it
Mm.
down for you so that way you can understand that, yeah, I know it's really upsetting that we don't have any more of the salmon, but we do have this, and you're here to have a good, it's like these things that just end up fucking serving you. Um, but
No, that's great. Yeah.
I do want to now kind of transition, because I think we've
Sure.
talked enough shop, and there's obviously we just left the restaurant industry together in that conversation. So
Yeah.
let's talk about you, and though some of this is parallel to your time in the industry,
Mm.
I want to talk to you about your actor life. And what
Sure.
I love most about guests who are easily searchable, guests who are still in it, because sometimes people have shifted out of performing and into
Hmm.
completely different lives, but it's still like once a king or queen of Narnia, always. But when I can find your resume online and I can play my favorite game, which is resume skills. Um, One of them I forgot I knew about and creeped me out, so we're going to save that one for the last. So one,
I think I know what you're talking about.
so let's do the first two. I want you to do. Can you give us a peacock call?
It's gonna be loud.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it just happened like I was at a zoo where there happened to be bunches of peacocks for some reason, and I would call out to them and they would respond. So, okay, here we go.
Oh my God, there are pockets in LA that have natural peacocks roaming free, like in Palos Verdes. That was it. That. Oh my God. Okay, so
Don't know
next.
where it comes from.
Next, it comes from divine intervention. That's genius. Next is, can you give us a giraffe noise?
So this was meant as a joke, um, and hopefully people will see this as well as hear it. You just can't really hear it, because I watch a safari train at
Oh,
a zoo, and giraffes are my favorite animal. So I said, "Hey, I heard a giraffe make a noise," and they're like, "Wait, what?" My friend's like, "What?" So oh yeah, they went like this. And that was it.
okay. So having stupid special skills on your resume is so. I remember in college, a professor's like, these skills are not serious. They need to see your serious skills. And it's like, no, these stupid special skills. Because I thought like, oh, the joke was they don't make a noise, and so I'm like waiting for the punchline, and then you made a noise. Like that's these special skills. If you can do it, are great starters. And then this last one, you do need to be watching us on YouTube. So for everyone who's listening, thanks for you've made it this far. Thanks for giving us that stream on whatever you're listening to. Now go to YouTube and give us a view. So this one used to creep me out, but I always used to ask you to do it. Can you give us the googly eye?
Oh, the Google. Oh, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Um, my right eye gets like I can make it drift. So let's see if I can get close to the camera. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'm doing it right now. Can
Now
you see
bring
it
it
at all?
closer. Bring it closer. No, bring the right eye closer. In
Oh, oh, closer in.
and go out. Oh my God.
Oh, in. Yeah,
Okay, we got it there. We got it there. That's
we got
amazing.
it there.
Thank you so much. We will let your agents know our
Thank you.
availability for callbacks. Um,
Thank you.
so, as I mentioned in the introduction, this sweet little Georgia peach from Valdosta, Georgia, um, goes to New York
Mm,
to make shit happen, and you do. Can you kind of
mm,
talk about your experience in booking? Like, what is a typical day in the life of Nate Raven booking shows and balancing trays, and how did that work and how did that feel?
man. Yeah. After I graduated, I actually spent like a year and a half just traveling around the country doing theater, even before I moved to New York.
Oh wow,
Because I went to I don't know if they still do them anymore, but remember UpDoes or those
yes,
big like cattle call auditions where you do a monologue and a song, and there's tons of theaters there. They call you back. So I would do those and early on in my career and get called back and then, you know, hopefully book a job through that. And
yeah,
that's how that sort of started. So then I moved to New York, got a job at Bluefin. But then I would always wake up at, I was non-union at the time, so I would get up at 5, 6 in the morning and trek on down to the studio, put my name on the list, wait all day. I would go to equity calls and wait all day. And that's just what I did. And then if I had to go to work, then I had to go to work. And I had my backpack, and if I was gone at 6 a.m., I wasn't home until like midnight or 1 a.m.
yeah. So you need to take
And
everything you needed.
and I have my audition book, I have my work clothes, my apron, my, like sometimes I would audition in my blacks
Yeah,
just because I had to. Um, and the my whole goal was to get theater jobs. And I mean, I think I was pretty as successful as anyone else, I guess, booking jobs here and there and making it
yeah.
work.
I mean, and you booked Beauty and the Beast. Like that's not a small
Yeah,
credit.
that was fun.
And you
No,
did
that's
that
true.
for
That's true.
for
That
how
was really
long did you
fun.
do that?
Oh, like a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Wow,
Almost 2 years, yeah.
that's 2 years outside of a restaurant, which is
Yeah,
priceless. It's
and it was
doubly
great.
rewarding. Yeah, and you
It
met
was
a
great.
a lot of great people there, I know. And
Yeah.
you had a very strong community in New York. Um,
Mm,
big group of friends, everyone from your college, and then the people you worked with. You were involved with Broadway Bears a lot. You were involved
hmm.
in that gym cult that I escaped. You were involved in so many things, and you really built like an amazing community in New York. And then life took you other places. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, I have these ideas I want to write. I have this, and you started directing. You started writing plays. You started writing films,
Mm.
and then eventually found your way to LA. So, how important has having that foundation in New York? How was that helpful in you adjusting to LA? And how have you built your community out here?
Yeah, it's first off, I want to say too that the reason I started writing is because I was tired of putting power behind the table. I was tired of giving other people the keys to my career. And much like me leaving the restaurant industry, I had to take a look at myself and go, what do I really want? Can I create it myself? And the answer is yes, I can.
Yep.
And so I started writing. And then the writing took off, and I did an off-Broadway play back in 2019 before, the pandemic. But then moving out to LA, it's all that stuff we've talked about, all those skills that I gained back in New York just strengthened me as
Yeah.
an artist and as a person. And um, the one thing I miss about New York is that you run into people on the street constantly. There's
Yeah.
always someone around, which is not the case in LA. In LA, you sort of have to be a little more aggressive, I guess, to reach out to people and hang out. So it's been a little different in that aspect, but I run a weekly writing room every Tuesday. That started in the pandemic. Built a community through that. I bring writers in. We read their script aloud and we give feedback. And it's really helped me as a writer. It's helped build a community that way. And I just realized ultimately that I'm going to use my strengths as an artist and use that for other people.
Yeah.
and bring other people along with me and see if I like, do we vibe together? Can we collaborate on something? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it's just putting yourself out there in that way, but also being confident in who you are and what you have to offer as an artist.
Yeah. And I wish for people out there who are like looking for networking advice and opportunities, that building community is actually networking. You going up to
Yes.
you seeing Steven Spielberg and being like, "Hey, Steven Spielberg," and thrusting yourself at him, that's not going to build community. That's going to build distance. Starting small and genuine connection, whether it be a weekly group that does,
Yep.
X, Y, and Z. I was part of it was like a musical theater book club. So every month we did a different musical and everyone rotated from ensemble to leads and this and that. You
Mm.
really do build this community and you don't know where you'll show up for each other. And you
Yeah.
just trust that like, oh, I actually know somebody who can do a googly eye. And Steven Spielberg is looking for somebody with a googly eye. Like you never know. But the most important
Yeah.
thing is to keep it genuine and at a place to where you can both offer each other uplifting support. Not taking
Well,
from each other, but uplifting each other.
and that's that because you people always hear, well, oh, LA is always about like, what can you do for me? And that may be true in some respects, but I've always been a person where I want to get to know you as a person first before I know you as what you can do and what your talent is. I want to know you as a person. And I've always been that way, and I hope that I continue being that way.
Yeah.
Um, because, like you said, it's just I want to know that I can trust you,
Yeah.
right? If we're going to work on something together, I need to know that I can trust you.
Exactly. And that you're not going to just drain me. Like I went to an event recently and I've been in LA for almost 2 years now. And this was like the first time that I was like, oh, this is what they mean about LA. But it wasn't everyone at this
Mm,
event. It was a few specific people that when the Getty
right.
photographer was taking their picture, they had a very specific pose and they had to be seen here. And the first thing they do is find out what you can do for them in roundabout ways. And it was like, but those people make so much more noise than they think they are. And they kind of
Hmm.
alienate themselves. And I found myself to the side talking to this other lady that's like she's on the ground floor like me. She's had a career, and she's still pounding the pavement. And like we had such a great time just connecting because like we don't want to be around that noise because ultimately I don't want to be associated with that person in that room.
Right.
Nobody wants
Right.
to be sitting next to the starfucker because like, oh, you're the friend of the starfucker. Got it. I'm going to avoid you too. So that's really cool that you've had that opportunity to build that community and of the amazing things you have done out here in LA because I've been watching you succeed. In doing all the work is you don't do it for the accolades. You don't do, I mean, you want to do it for the payout because you do need to get paid. But
Right.
when they come, when the wins come, in addition to the win of having it made, um, talk to us about that feeling. Like you are fresh off a film festival where your
Mm,
film, Edgewise, that you helped make happen. It's your baby you brought to life. So it's like
yeah.
even more personal. I keep trying to like not. I'm like it's not like this casting director. I'm like don't say the casting director's name. Where your life is in their hands. For a nymph show. It's like what does that get me? But like this is something I created, and this is actually who I am. And you won a fucking award. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. It's always nerve-wracking when you put stuff out there, always. Um, but I for Edgewise in particular, because I wrote it, I was in it, and I mean, my God, it was like 11 locations and 9 actors. It was insane. We shot it in 2 days,
Wow.
very guerrilla style. But the end product I was so proud of. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is the film that I wanted to make. This is the story that I wanted to tell. The themes were there. Like all the things that I wanted were there.
Yeah.
And then, and I know a lot of people aren't like this, a lot of artists, but I've gotten to a place where I can just let it go now because I'm happy with it, because I'm proud of what we have, of the best we could do with what we had, that it didn't matter if it got into something or not, or if it won something or not. The fact that I was able to go to this film festival, I was literally there just yesterday, um, in Portland, Oregon. the fact that people laughed where I wanted them to laugh,
Hmm.
that I got the I don't know how to describe it, but that genuine like oh like
Yeah.
that sort of like reaction was audible to me,
Hmm.
and so that to me was the biggest win of all. And it just helped that it won Best Comedy because that of course that helps me get more work and get some more
Yeah.
opportunities later. But the fact that the audience reacted how I wanted them to react was a huge win for me as the artist. It means okay, we did something right with this.
Exactly.
We we
You
we
touched
achieved the
people.
goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Congratulations. And
Thank you.
on the tails of that, talk
Mm,
to us about your new project, The Beard. It's a story about him growing facial hair for the first time. No.
yes. Yeah. No. So this one is very different than Edgewise, and if you get a chance to see Edgewise, you'll understand. It's a very dark drama. It is a queer short film about a queer person being taken away, set in today's political climate. So yes, you can understand. Imagine everything that we are seeing on the news in a film form, and that is exactly what it is. I wrote it before the election. I finished it after the election, uh, and it's gotten so much bigger than me. It's gotten into this place. It's cast now. We have like our DP. We're gathering our crew, but it is the biggest project I've ever worked on. It's and it's grown beyond me
Hmm.
as an artist, as a person. It's become this thing that needs to be seen by everyone.
Yeah.
It's it's a statement film. It's a warning film. Um, and we have this incredible director, Kelsey Fordham. She's amazing already. Just every meeting we have, we're crying. Good tears, but like, oh my god, this is going to be so great, and just we really want to do right by the story. And we shoot um, early June, so about 5 weeks from now. So I'm very excited to get that out there for everyone to see.
That's amazing. When you first kind of transitioned into this new reality of a creative force, uh, thinking back to Nate back then to what Nate is living out now, like how
Mm.
does this relate to what you had hoped would happen and into what is actually happening? Like, is this beyond the dream? Is there like, how does it feel to be where you are now?
Honestly, it feels great. I
Yeah.
feel a sort of zen about my career right now. Um, Mark Duplass, actor, writer, director of the Duplass brothers, he says, don't chase the industry, let the industry come to you. And this past year, I've done a lot of work on myself to just keep my head down and do my work.
Hmm.
Whatever I want to create, whatever I want to write, be in, direct, whatever that is for me that gives me joy, I'm going to work on. I'm going to do. And if I get a job from my agent, if I get a job from like a random audition, then that's just a bonus.
Yeah.
And I always come back to me and and my people and my network and what I want to put out there. And then
Yeah.
whatever comes of it, comes of it. I had to sort of like let go of this idea. Of course, I want more. My God, of
Yeah.
course, I want more. But we all do. But I, for me in particular, I had to sort of like step back and just go, okay, Nate, like, what are your personal goals? What do you want? Because then you get so caught up in the energy of like that desperation, that like wanting and not doing, and I just started doing.
Good for you. Good for you. And very much similar to, how your waiter life informed your audition life and being able to
Mm,
memorize this. In this new adventure that you're on, it definitely feels like in your being open to work and creating, whether it be something your agent books you, something you create, something comes up, like each area of your life just continues to form and inform other areas and
yeah,
just allows you to be more ready and more
yeah.
open and more willing for whatever comes your way. So
I
I think
I
that's
think
wonderful.
that's the key. I feel more open.
Yeah.
that than I ever have before. I feel more receptive to take on something because I've grounded myself enough to let it happen, and I
Exactly.
don't let myself get carried away by it.
Exactly. And yes, yes. And again, I'm not going to make a joke about a casting director. Stop. Just keep going with it. But again, you're not in that desperate place, which is wonderful. So now that we've talked about, all of these accomplishments and all that you have coming down the pipeline, I want people to know how to find and support you in general, and also how to find and support this film. What's the deal with the crowdfunding, all of that. So here's your chance to let people know how to support Nate Raven.
Yeah, so please follow me on Instagram, nate.raven, very simple. That's where you'll find about everything that's going on. For the Beard crowdfunding campaign, we have a little over 2 weeks left. It's on Indiegogo. Just search The Beard and it should come up, The Beard short film. I tested it. So I think it should be like the first or second one there. And honestly, any little bit helps. Have you ever been to Orbar, by the way?
No, 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 no. It's in
So
LA?
it's right down the street from me in West Hollywood. It's on Santa Monica. It's capital OR bar. It's a coffee shop during the day, which is great to go work, everyone. And and then cocktails, more of a lounge at night.
Hmm.
We are doing an event there on May 8th, from 5 to 8 p.m. to promote the Beard. And they're letting us sort of partner with them to help promote it as well, which is incredible.
That's great. So that's the day after this episode launches. So all of my faithful first day listeners, do it. All my next day listeners, you still got a chance. Everyone else, you missed it. Maybe you should hop on the show as soon as it launches. But that's May 8th at the Ore Bar in West Hollywood, which apparently I need to go check out.
You'll
And
love it. You'll love it.
I love it. And I'm going to put where to follow Nate down below in the episode description, as well as the link to where you can support this film, because I know I said this, back when we had AJ on, but it is sincere. Now more than ever, it is time to double down and tell these stories, and specifically a story like this, which we are
Yep.
seeing unfold with
Yep.
people who are literally being disappeared, and we don't know how or if they will come back. So stories like this, we need to make sure see the light of day. Other
That's
things we
right.
need to make sure that see the light of day are some good news. And having worked in this industry and having been, raked across the coals over Yelp reviews and this and that, we know very well that nothing travels faster than bad news, which is why I always like to go out of my way when I have a good experience at work, as a customer, in any area. If I have something nice to say, I want to say it. I want to help get good news back to where it should be. So, with that being said, Nate Raven, in all the many hats you've worn and all the many aprons you've donned, who who is somebody in your illustrious career that has made a tough shift more bearable for you, and you would just like to say thank you and shout out to them today?
Oh, you know what? The first person that comes to mind, his name is Jimmy Hurley, at Tipsy Parson. He was this bundle of laughs and joy, and just always kept it lighthearted when things got tough. And he was just just sort of like, it's whatever. It's dinner or it's brunch.
Yeah.
Um, and he was one of those two that he could look at you and like poke like your spots and like instantly like release
Oh, wow.
things. So yeah, it was great. Every now and then he would do it for me. I was just like, oh my God, Jimmy, you're amazing. So yeah, in many different ways, emotionally and physically, he was the best.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, Jimmy, there you have it. Clearly, the world, not just the industry, needs more people like you. So thank you for doing everything that you do, everything that you've done, everything that you will do to make tough shifts a little bearable. This episode has been for you. And just remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life. Take care, everyone. Tough Shift was created and hosted by Patrick Murtagh. It was recorded on Riverside and distributed with Buzzsprout. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and maybe a comment or two. And remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life.